Hi, thank you all for watching Rebuild and Revive. We have had quite a long journey and just things happen that we had never expected. My name is Sarah, and my husband and I and my two kids, we decided we would renovate our 1950s home. We had lived there for 10 years and maybe it was, 10 years. And my husband and I bought it when it was just the two of us. And then since then our family has grown and we loved our neighborhood. That's why we moved there. Our neighborhood is amazing. It's this adorable community and we really have the best neighbors and we have friends that are like family. So we knew we didn't want to leave the neighborhood. And our street is great. We live on a cul-de-sac, which is wonderful for the kids. So we decided to take on this renovation. And so we started the renovation, and the first few videos are from when that began, and that was in April. And so much has happened since then. It's now January, and well, we just had quite the journey. The renovation was supposed to take 4 to 6 months, so it was supposed to be completed in October, and now it's January and it's still not done. So a lot has happened. When we first began filming and the construction, very early on, things just weren't going well. So I stopped filming because I was expecting things to not go well or according to plan, but I didn't realize how emotional I would be about it. So I wasn't able to film from the early beginning. I stopped filming because it was just too emotional for me. Early on, when we began construction, the crew stopped working on the house for a few weeks because they were pulled onto another job. And so our house sat empty. We were renting an Airbnb that was very expensive. Even though a friend gave us a great deal on it, it was still expensive for us. And it was just frustrating to be paying for that Airbnb and our house just sitting there with no activity on it. So that was hard. So I want to catch you up on what all has happened since then. I'm going to give you a tour of the house in my next segment, but before that, I just want to catch you up on all the background information. You're not going to believe what the house looks like now compared to what it looked like before. It looks like a completely different house. It is really amazing. So we ended up having a fire in our house about 2 months ago, and we were 1 week from finishing. What happened was we were refinishing our floors, and at the time my family and I were living in the basement of the house. The whole main floor was empty except the master closet was storing some things, and then the original bath also was storing things. But for the most part, the house was empty. So it were the upstairs, the main floor and the second floor, they were empty. So that was a good thing. We were refinishing the floors, so we had to clear the whole space. So the flooring guys, what happened was they were working in the kitchen and they accidentally hit a knob on one of the stoves. They were moving the refrigerator back into place because they were standing behind the refrigerator. So they pulled that out and then they pushed the refrigerator back in place and they hit a knob on the stove. There must have been something on the stove and they didn't realize it. They turned the stove on, they didn't realize it, and they left for lunch. And while they were gone, the fire happened. And when they came back, they saw that there was a fire going on. they came in and they put out the fire, and at some point I got a call from my general manager. We had a general manager, and he called me, and I was out shopping, and he said, there's a little bit of smoke coming from behind your range, and they're not sure where it's coming from. They think it's coming from the outlet. He said he was about an hour away from my house, and that they're trying to figure it out. Well, I said, okay, it just didn't seem like a very big deal. So I was like, okay, well, I'm 30 minutes away from the house. I'll go home and check it out. And, I took my time. We were at the shopping mall. I took my time leaving. I didn't rush the kids, which in hindsight is probably a good thing, because I probably would have been panicked if I had known what actually had occurred. My GM was just telling me what the flooring guys had told them. So they made it out to be not a big deal. So then he made it out to me to not be a big deal, because that's all he knew. Well, when I walked into the house, I knew it was very serious. I called my husband right away, and my husband works down the street from where we live, and he ran all the way home. And from there, we just dealt with what had happened. So the fire started, and it didn't, I'll give you a tour of it and everything, but it didn't burn up our kitchen. What caused it was very confined, because our stove was surrounded by granite. So the fire really didn't have anywhere to go, and the fire department said it would have gone out eventually anyway. So that's a good thing. But what did cause a lot of issues was the soot and the smoke. The soot was throughout the entire house except for the basement. It was throughout the whole main floor and the second floor. It was everywhere. It was in closets. It was everywhere, on walls. I had no idea that it would do this. And the smoke can cause significant damage as well throughout the whole house, and it did. So when I saw the fire, I knew it was serious, but I didn't realize how serious it was. So what happened was, when I arrived, the flooring guys, they tried to blame it on the electrician. They said the fire was coming from the outlet, and they knew very well where the fire had started. We have the whole thing. We had, right when construction began, my husband and I put cameras throughout the entire house. And if you ever begin construction on your house or renovation, I highly, highly, highly recommend you put cameras up on the exterior and the interior of your home. We did this for the reason that all of our stuff was still going to be inside the house, but we were going to be living elsewhere, and our house is going to be open. We wouldn't even have walls on our house. So we're thinking all of our stuff is exposed. Anyone could just walk up and grab anything. So we just felt like our house needed a little bit of a protection. So we put some cameras on the outside. We put cameras all over the inside, facing doors, facing main areas where people would be walking. We put them in the basement, in the garage. And we did not hide these cameras. We made them very obvious out in the open. We wanted to deter theft. We just thought maybe if people saw the cameras, then, everybody would do what supposed to do, and our house would be okay, and our things. So while they were doing the floors, we did have the cameras up, and thank goodness. But we have the whole thing, the whole event on camera and on video footage, and we can see the smoke beginning in the camera. You could see ashes going through the air and it getting more and more smoke, and we see the flooring guys walk in, and they're just in disbelief, and they run, thank goodness, to put out the fire. If they had called the fire, they did not call the fire department. If they had called the fire department, the firefighters told us that when they would have sprayed their hose, that the water damage would have been just so significant in our house. So I'm very thankful that they put out the fires themselves. So that's a really great thing for us, because it saved our house. But we hear them calling their boss on the phone, like, what do we do? Explaining the damage that had happened, and they knew they had turned on the stove, but their boss, when I arrived, their boss was already on scene and said it came from the outlet. And the flooring company they took evidence, tried to clean up the area where the fire happened and blame it on the electrician. I'm not sure why they would do that. The fire marshal came in. We called our insurance right away, and the insurance said, call the fire department. So the fire department came out even though the fire had already been put out. And the fire marshal said he knew right away, without even looking at the security footage, the video camera, what had happened. He could tell. I mean, they know these things. They could tell. He said it came from the stove, not the outlet, and he knew. It was pretty obvious to him. So the good thing is that we were able to figure out, like, really quickly how the fire started. We had our video footage, so they couldn't blame it on me, because I'm a stay-at-home mom, so I'm in and out of the house all day long. I wasn't home at the time. We had proof of that. Our kids were at school. It wasn't our kids. It was obvious, and we are so thankful we had the cameras. We're so thankful that they knew and were able to determine really quickly how the fire happened. So where we're living now, so we were not able to stay in our house because of the smoke damage and the soot damage. And during the construction, we were using our kitchen because our kitchen wasn't being renovated. But we weren't able to use our kitchen anymore. It was destroyed. So we had to move out of our house that day. And that was extremely difficult. I didn't know where we were going. I called the insurance company. The insurance company was setting us up with housing. They wanted us to go to a hotel, and that would be really difficult. Staying in a hotel with children, no kitchen, no laundry. I was thinking about how I would do laundry every day, how I would make their lunches. Staying at a hotel would be just extremely difficult for a few weeks. So I really did not want to do that. And fortunately, we were able to find, through a friend, a home, and we were able to stay there. And it was just so good for our souls to stay in this house. It's the cutest house down the street from where we live. And the lady who owns it just welcomed us and told us, treat this like your home, open drawers, do whatever. She wasn't staying there at the time. She was at another property of hers, and she said, make yourself at home and help yourself to food in the fridge and the pantry, and let your kids play. Don't worry about your kids like breaking anything. And it was just really, really kind, and it was really good for our souls. So getting in there, I was just so grateful and thankful, and that meant a lot. Sorry, he's trying not to get emotional. So we were able to stay there for 3 weeks, and then the insurance company was able to find us something a little bit more permanent. By permanent, I mean a few months. So now we're staying in an Airbnb that's in a town over from where we live, and we it's been fine, and we're really grateful. We're really grateful. We have really good insurance. We're grateful nobody was hurt. We're grateful that our house didn't burn down. You know, it's a different situation for us because we could still walk into our house. I mean, some things were burned and ruined and totally like melted, but not many things. And we could still walk into our house and we could see our belongings. I can't imagine what the people are going through in LA where their whole house, everything is gone. You can't even see it. My heart breaks for them. And I'm grateful that's not my situation. So we're staying in an Airbnb, and it's fine. It took me a while. I'm not gonna lie. It took me a while to adjust to living here. I missed my home. I missed my neighbors. It's just not the same. We've been out of our home since April, and it's January now. So it's been a while. Like we miss having a home. We miss hosting. We used to host a game night, and that's just been on hold for a long time. And we miss hosting different events and play dates, and just everything is kind of just put on hold. But we have wonderful friends, and they've been there for us. So I'm really thankful for that. So we're staying in this Airbnb, and we have this until March. It's January now. We have this until March, and then I don't think our construction will be done by then. It's been a really long process, and I think I'll go into more of that later, but on the next one. But I wanted to update you on where we are now and everything that has happened. It has been quite the journey. We realized we're very strong and resilient people. We are thankful for so much. The friends that were there for us, the family that was there for us when this happened. And we have really great insurance, and we're going to be okay. It's going to be okay. But the next segment, I'm going to show you a tour of the house. You won't believe it. It'll show you what the fire